All right, so I just got done reacting to Microsoft and Google's earnings reports, and it was not all that great, to be honest with you. So, does this mean that we're in for the same type of scenario or reaction to Facebook right now? And after hours trading, as I'm reporting this, Facebook's actually down around 4% already. So, is there more downside when the earnings come out tomorrow, Wednesday, April 27th? Let's go ahead and find out, and let's see what we're actually expecting from Facebook. If you guys want, I can. If you guys want to see that live reaction to Facebook's earnings, make sure you're subscribed, hit that notification bell, as I will be live at 3:45 p.m. Eastern time to cover those earnings, as well as a slew of some other ones, including PayPal, Ford, and others. They'll be reporting tomorrow after hours. For your earnings coverage, this is the place to be, guys. I promise you that. So what are we expecting for Facebook going into tomorrow? One of the big key factors is going to revolve around this issue that Facebook has had as a result of what's been going on with Apple and their security measures that they've been taking. It's really prevented Facebook from targeting users' habits. And that's really kind of how Facebook has been so successful at targeting for advertisers. If you're a small business or a large business and Facebook's able to track your movements and what your tendencies are, it makes it way easier for those advertisers or those businesses to target you to get business from you. It's much harder to cast a wide net or to ask somebody. It's just like, remember Wall Street, Wolf of Wall Street. It's sell me this pen, right? You can't just sell the pen to anybody. They have to be interested in that pen, and that's exactly what Facebook does. They find people that want a pen. They need a pen, and then it's up to the advertiser or the business to sell them that pen. But and Apple's kind of really made it a lot harder for Facebook to do that, and that's why they've seen a slowing of growth in advertising. And I think also that's why Mark Zuckerberg has started to try to pivot into the metaverse, changing the name, rebranding, all of that to Meta platforms. And so the real big key thing here for them is going to be, have they been able to navigate this big challenge that Apple has put in front of them? You know, it's a huge consumer base, and it has been extremely challenging, on top of the fact that they've seen a slowing of growth of subscribers. Facebook's used to seeing 3.7 billion monthly active users, which is an absolutely insane number. When you combine it with Instagram and some of their other platforms, of course, it's not just Facebook, but Meta platforms in general. And so are we going to see a slowing of that growth? Do those monthly active users come down? And that's another huge metric for something like Facebook and really some of the other social media platforms. We saw that from Snap last month, and actually the monthly active users for Snap actually went up. Could we see that from Facebook? I don't know. I think it's going to be really, really challenging to kind of see a scenario in which they see that type of growth, because Snap is still a growing company and they're so much smaller. And Facebook is still, it's kind of like almost a value stock in this space, so to speak, and it's trading like one. We look at the forward earnings. Sorry, guys, the forward earnings. It's trading around 14 times next year's earnings, which is actually the cheapest among the big mega cap FANG type stocks. It is the cheapest one fundamentally. And so I think it's going to be really interesting to see where this goes. Their estimated earnings per share tomorrow are around $2.56. Estimated revenues coming around at 28.21 billion. And so I think that the revenue is going to be the real challenging part. Can they come in above earnings per share? I think that's probably going to be much easier to achieve because of the digital business that they're in. And then that $28.21 billion is going to be the real challenge. Can they exceed that kind of growth? Can they exceed the growth that's set for them? The bar is set pretty high for Facebook or for Meta platforms. I think it's going to be really challenging for them to go through with that. We'll see. If they do, I think that it could really turn around. And I mean, we take a look at the stock right now, and it is actually pretty crazy to see this down here at levels that we haven't seen since really the pandemic, since the lows of the pandemic. And before that, we hadn't seen that since 2019. So this is your daily chart. You can kind of see where it's trading at right now. It's sitting at 173, and this is actually a crucial area for Meta platforms. We haven't seen it down here since, as I had mentioned before, in 2020, April 2020. And then again, before that, it was October of 2019. We can go further back, even further, and that's the last time we saw that even close to these areas around August of 2019. You can kind of see, if we go back even further around the summertime, that's where it lived. And so, in my opinion, is Facebook less valuable than it was in 2019, trading at 14 times next year's earnings? I have to say that I just think that that is kind of crazy to me. It is one of those things where you're looking at Facebook at the reaction that it's having right now against Alphabet, and it's really tough to see. However, I'm in the camp here where I'm looking at this and it has $40 billion of free cash flow every year. And it's a company that's trading at 14 times next year's earnings. That is just absolutely mind blowing. Another key component here for Facebook, obviously, is going to be the meta platform sides, the metaverse. How are they progressing? Mark Zuckerberg chose to invest over $10 billion into the metaverse to become a key player in this space. Can they do it? Can they pull it off? And how are they progressing? And that's going to be something that we're going to hear from him tomorrow on their conference call as well. If they are, maybe investors can get excited about that. But I don't know if they're going to be as excited about that as they are on revenue growth and is how the company is continuing to make money. You look at the RSI and it is at oversold levels. So the risk reward here, I still think is quite good despite the move down. Can Facebook come down lower? The answer to that question is absolutely. Anything is possible. I think that there's a possibility where it could test pandemic lows if they come in and underperform on their earnings report. That's very much a reality. However, looking at where it's at right now, it is almost too good to pass up from a valuation standpoint. It's just ridiculously cheap. And in my opinion, the risk reward is also very good here. I'm not telling you that you have to buy it. I'm just calling it for what it is. Facebook has been in the doghouse and for very good reasons, right? The growth here has slowed significantly and the stock has come down significantly by nearly half. And so I think that this actually is over half from the highs. It's come down over half. So, we're at a steep discount for Facebook. Again, like I said, it's the cheapest one out of all the FANGs. And so I think risk reward wise, this actually looks very attractive to me. And maybe this will give you an opportunity if they come in after earnings. Even if they report good earnings, there's no way it's going back up to those highs. So if you don't get the absolute bottom, is it really that much of a bad thing? I don't think so. But if you feel like you need to get into it before earnings, that's your prerogative. I just think that trying to time this thing or trying to time the bottom is going to be really challenging. So especially given the fact that we have now those earnings from Google and Microsoft, and they weren't all that fantastic. I can't imagine that Facebook comes in to save the day. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are on this, though, and I will be reacting to these earnings among plenty of other ones. We got Teladoc, Ford, PayPal, and many others that we're going to be reacting to tomorrow at 3:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button and the notification bell to get notified when I do go live. And guys, that's going to do it for me. I will see you all tomorrow.